Welcome to Policy on Demand. I'm Cindy Bloom.
And I'm Scott McCandless. It is the week of March 31st, and this is your Monday briefing. We're going to focus today on three upcoming developments: movement on a budget resolution, special elections on April 1st to fill vacant seats in the House, and President Trump's announcement of new tariffs on April 2nd, which he is calling Liberation Day.
And we're going to talk about all of this with Mark Prater and Chairman Dave Camp. Welcome to you both.
Thank you, Scott. Cindy, pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So we've talked about the narrow Republican majority in the House before, and it's coming into sharper focus now with two special elections this week to fill vacancies and President Trump's recent decision to withdraw Representative Elise Stefanik's nomination for UN ambassador. Chairman Camp, what are the implications of these special elections?
Well, specials are important because they can be viewed as a bellwether of certainly how politics are going and certainly a review of what this administration's policies might mean. There are 4 vacancies in the House right now, 2 as a result of members passing away, and 2 special elections. The 2 special elections are both Republicans in Florida, and they are Republican districts that Trump won significantly. So this will be important as really, is this a statement on the Trump administration? One of the difficulties in a special election is turnout, because people turn out for many reasons in election, for other candidates, for issues. And it's very difficult in a special election to really get a handle on who's actually going to show up and vote.
All right, thank you for that. And now let's turn to a topic that has consumed much of the oxygen in the room: tariffs. Scott, what is happening this week?
Sure. So President Trump announced a variety of tariffs: China, Mexico, Canada. Now he's also turning to essentially the rest of the world with this idea of reciprocal tariffs. The United States tends to have a lower applied tariff rate than other nations for our goods going to the other countries relative to their goods coming to ours. So he apparently wants to try to equalize that. So at the very least, there will be some kind of attempt on April 2nd to move our tariffs in the direction higher to be commensurate with other countries. The trick is, what other issues might be included in there? Will there be value-added taxes also added to the mix and try to bring our rates even further to match the impact of VATs in foreign countries? Will non-tariff measures such as regulatory or agricultural barriers, export control barriers that other countries have also be considered? We don't know the answers to these questions yet. That's what makes April 2nd so interesting in terms of just how broad an impact these potential new tariffs could have.
All right, and whatever does happen on Wednesday, I think we'll be back to explain it all. So thanks for that. All right, let's turn to the budget resolution. Mark, what's the lay of the land right now?
So, Sindhu, it's still a case of the tale of 2 budget resolutions, but they're going to be collapsed likely into a single resolution. They'll probably have differing instructions for the House and Senate committees, and that will provide a range of outcomes. Of course, under the Senate rules, the Senate committees must still report under their instructions, but it looks like this will be kicked somewhat to the conference stage to work out some of these considerations. So we got a Senate budget resolution amendment that looks like it will come up on the House budget resolution, and that will execute on this. Still a lot of details to be worked out, including how the Finance Committee instruction will work, and will it incorporate current policy baseline as Chairman Crapo has sought, and then what other features will it have? So some of those kind of details, but the key issues here are going to be how much can they sustain on the mandatory savings?
Mark, I'm curious, you mentioned a lot of other details still need to be included in there. One of them is the debt ceiling. To what extent is the debt ceiling still a part of this process, and what are the implications of it?
So, Scott, big movement on that last week. Leader Thune moved towards the House position to put the debt ceiling into the reconciliation exercise. He did ask for an additional trillion or so, and so that's a difference. So the debt ceiling definitely in play. Of course, the continuing resolution is done now. That was the other alternative vehicle, and that's not there anymore. So it makes the reconciliation bill all the more important because it's likely going to address that matter. And the debt ceiling has its own dynamics in terms of scheduling, because when we get close to that X date, that will move the schedule some.
Mark, what should companies be looking out for in the congressional package, and what are you hearing in terms of revenue raisers?
when folks look at those numbers, you look at the 4.5 trillion in the House instruction or wherever the Senate lands on current policy, those look like big numbers. And folks are generally looking at that and go like, well, certainly they probably don't need that many offsets, or there should be room to accommodate these issues that we're thinking about. Just know that most that number is spoken for in terms of the individual title TCJA, which is by far the most important objective in this exercise. So there is some risk on offsets, I'll tell companies, and they need to be vigilant. And there may not be as much room to accommodate some of those business changes that they desire and other things.
Okay.
Mark, finally, let's talk about timing. First, in terms of the budget resolution passage process itself, when the committees will actually be authorized to do their work, and then we might actually start to see the legislative text of a tax bill, and when might this conclude?
If Leader Thune finds agreement and puts a amendment on the floor to the House resolution, and let's say that works out and that passes the House, then the committees can start to do their work, because they'll have some indication of where they can go. So then you have a work period going up through May there to Memorial Day, and then you got another work period in June going to July. To me, it seems like following the traditional path on reconciliation bills usually takes 6 weeks or so to kind of get from the budget to conference. So I think that puts us likely sometime in July for the end of this, kind of up towards the August recess.
Gotcha. Well, Mark, thank you so much for your insights as always. And Chairman Camp, thank you for joining us as well. Appreciate you being with us. And for our viewers, you'll find links to a series of trade-related episodes in the description of this episode. They were filmed last week at PwC's Customs and International Trade Forum in Dallas. One of those episodes is a conversation with former U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer.
You'll also find episodes on trade outlooks from Europe and Asia and the trade and tariff focus for the C-suite. You can find our full trade coverage on the Trade Policy channel on Policy on Demand. We appreciate you spending this time with us and hope you have a great week. Take care.